Let me read to you a passage from the 11th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 28 to 30. It's the Gospel for Wednesday of the second week of Advent. St. Matthew writes, Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." That's from Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. Our Lord refers to rest for the soul. You know, in a message to a global Buddhist conference in New Delhi in November of 2011, the Dalai Lama said that the world's problems and conflicts arise because man has left behind the basic tenets of non-violence and the oneness of humanity. These were the teachings of Buddha, the Dalai Lama said. Buddha attained enlightenment in Bodh Gaya about 2,000 years ago. He continued, "Yet, I believe," he says, "his teachings remain refreshing and relevant today." Buddhism claims to offer peace and harmony for man and humanity, and it proposes the way of enlightenment to attain it. Buddha is seen as the perennial exemplar. Buddha, the accounts indicate, was gripped by the thought of suffering and the mystery of how it is to be overcome. He tried the path of asceticism and found it wanting. He then embarked on the path of meditation and attained, he believed, complete enlightenment at the age of 35. Later accounts provide the details of his attaining this under a bodhi tree in present-day Bodh Gaya, after fighting off the attacks of the jealous god Mara. Then, the story goes, the Indian gods Brahma and Indra implored him to teach his way of enlightenment. At this, Buddha went to Sanath and in the deer park there taught the Four Noble Truths to his 5 former companions. And so Buddhism was born and became the vast movement that it is. Its claim is to give rest to weary and burdened human life. Buddha refrained from speaking about God. At the time, India possessed great numbers of sacred scriptures, yet it was torn with strife. Religion did not seem to unite people, nor promote love and compassion. I suspect that this made of Gautama a religious agnostic. He came up with a radical answer, looking for a practical and empirical path to happiness. He considered he found it in the mastery of the Four Noble Truths, leading to a state of supreme liberation or nirvana. This is the peace of a mind that is free from ignorance, greed, hatred, and other defilements. Importantly, God does not get a look in. Rest of soul is attained through a personally engineered liberation. Buddha emphasized ethics and correct understanding. His system of insight and meditation is not claimed to have been divinely revealed, but to spring from an understanding of the true nature of the mind. Buddha saw the issue of God as unknowable and unimportant for the main game, which is the attainment of practical peace and happiness. Now, I have described some features of Buddhism as an example of salvation being sought without any reference to a transcendent God. Other examples could be given, but it is obvious that in a culture which tends to dismiss the supernatural and to look exclusively to this world, such as ours, any such method will appeal to many. Added to this is the fact that in the case of Buddhism, the Dalai Lama, its preeminent exponent and representative, brings to its propagation a great human charm. As much as the Christian is bound to show respect for any way that is deeply cherished by good people, and is especially bound to respect those people themselves, he must have a clear perception of its limitations. Man was made to rest in God. If God is dismissed, man's true rest will never be attained. This is where we come to our gospel passage that I read earlier, in which our Lord makes the explicit affirmation to all and sundry that he himself is the rest of soul for every weary and burdened person. Buddha and so many others of history could see how fundamental is the fact of suffering and unhappiness. He and other great men, and Buddha was great in view of his influence, have seen that in some sense happiness is imperative. But how is it to be attained? Historical revelation, that revelation granted by God to his chosen people and reaching its zenith in the person of Jesus Christ, teaches that there is one way to ultimate happiness. It lies in union with the true God, who demands holiness of life. This union with God is attained by and in union with Jesus Christ, and Christ requires that we renounce ourselves and follow in his footsteps. Buddha taught renunciation, and Christ teaches renunciation, but Christian renunciation has for its goal a loving and total union with the person of Jesus Christ. The taking up of this yoke, the yoke of being Christ's disciple, whatever be the cost, will bring rest to our souls. That is Christ's teaching, and that is the key to human flourishing and rest for the soul. Let us beware of substitutes for the truth. Christ said that he is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me, he said. He who sees me sees the Father. He is the only name by which we are saved. It is in this light that we must understand the saving words of our Lord in the Gospel I read earlier. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. The enlightenment which God intends for man will come by this path, and it will liberate us from sin and lead to rest for our souls.